All right, everybody, welcome in to Load the Box. I am your host, as always, Jordan Hawthorne. I am joined, as always, by the wonderful and the marvelous Jack Day. Had a little bit of a bye week last week. I think it was mostly because me and Jack both took the Dallas loss a lot harder than we probably should have, but that's okay. We love this team for some damn reason. Exciting game to cover today. Excited to talk about how things went. But before we get into any of that, I'm going to pass it over to Jack and ask you, Jack, how has your week been since Dallas?
It's been good. It was a weird Thanksgiving, obviously, given the circumstances, but some boring games on Thanksgiving as well. It's kind of a bummer that the Pittsburgh and Baltimore game got pushed back, but at least we have another Tuesday night game now coming up, which is another weird circumstance given all the COVID stuff going on. But it ended pretty well. I think today's game, it was like you said before we got on this call, there were people talking about how it was really the this was a great game to show what it's like being a Vikings fan, the emotional roller coaster that comes with not just being a Minnesota Vikings fan, but a Minnesota sports fan in general was displayed today at US Bank Stadium against the Panthers. But ultimately the Vikings came out on top. A win's a win, and the Minnesota Vikings are now sitting just one game out of a playoff spot.
Yeah, the Patriots did us some favors. We were really bummed in my house because we were excited to, the Patriots win that game. And the Vikings are sitting there, I believe, down down 6 at the time. And we were kind of like, oh my God, we're going to blow this. Oh, we were down, like, I think 11. And we were like, oh my God, we are going to blow this. Like, we have to, capitalize on this chance to pick up a game on Arizona because they have a lot of tough games, and today was a game they probably should have won, but they didn't. The Arizona lost to New England by 3 points. It's final. The game went final. The Patriots beat them, and the Vikings were able to hang on by the skin of their teeth, it feels like, against Carolina. I'll give a quick recap of the game. Vikings jumped out to a 7-0 lead because of the hands of Justin Jefferson, who had 2 touchdowns in today's game. Vikings snuck back ahead to 10-7 just before the half. Let's see. I'm trying to break down this game as well as I can, but the ending was so fast-paced and there was so much yelling and jumping going on that it's a little difficult to think back to the first half. The second half started in a typical Minnesota way. Cousins strip sack taken back for a touchdown by what is his first name? By the
Jeremy Chin.
Thank you, Jeremy Chin. I couldn't remember if that was his name or if there was. I think there's another Chin that used to play for like the Patriots or something. And I couldn't remember. I didn't want to get him mixed up. But Jeremy Chin picks up a fumble, takes it to the house, and then like 2 plays later, if that, strips Dalvin Cook because the refs didn't blow for forward progress because he was trucking and getting pushed ahead. Love to see those plays. It's old timey football, but if you're gonna push him ahead, he's got to hold on to the ball. Jeremy Chin took it, ran it back, boom, bam. Vikings are down 11 points just like that. And score kind of stayed the same for most of the game. We got a field goal, they got a field goal, went back and forth, or most of the second half, I should say. Vikings end up rolling back, getting it within 3, and then Chad Beebe, you are such a bad person for what you did to us today. Chad Beebe muffs a punt with KJ Osborne deactivated. That's game right there. I think a lot of Vikings fans thought like 2 minutes and 15 seconds left. Panthers ball up 3 at like the 9-yard line. Panthers run it twice. Oh no. I think did they run one? Did they only throw one time on that drive?
It was something crazy. It was one of those things where it's like, why are you not? I mean, you have literally ran it right down the Vikings' throats all day long, and you decide to throw it now when you literally put the game away.
I think it was the drive before that one when they punted and BB muffed the punt. Well, they decided to throw the ball twice, and they stopped the clock twice on that drive, and it's like, you could tell it was a first-year coaching staff for the Panthers because, that's a rookie mistake. You just run the ball and you eat that clock. Then they throw it on third down from like the 5. Teddy misses a wide-open guy in the back of the end zone. The guy, I think it was Oh, I can't remember which receiver it was for Carolina, but he looked
It
pretty
was
banged.
DJ Moore, I believe.
Yes,
Is who
DJ
it
Moe.
was.
He looked pretty banged up after that. He came down. You could see him wincing in pain before he even fell to the ground. So hope he's all right. But that stops the clock. The Vikings have like a minute and 45 seconds. They go straight down the field. And then Chad Beebe. What a guy. What a guy. Chad Beebe. I watched people tear him apart on Twitter talking about how it's over. He's living off of his dad's name. You know, the Vikings want him to be the next Thielen, but he's not, blah, blah, blah. Chad Beebe catches a touchdown pass, and then the Panthers go down the field, kick a 54-yard field goal attempt, which I thought was easily going to go in and end our season. And he shanked it to the left. Vikings win. Vikings are 5-6. Vikings have a chance to get back to 500 next week against Jacksonville. Tune in Wednesday night for that game. Jack, I just kind of gave the facts on the game. That's what happened if you didn't watch. I hope I did a good enough job. What were your emotions? How many times? Tell me when you were like cussing the team out, and when you were like a little bit more down to earth, or even just incredibly excited. Just walk me through how you watched this game.
Yeah, it was actually it just similar to a lot of the games and how they've gone this year. I know last week after that Dallas loss, it was more of just like it wasn't as much of a pissed off as it was just like a blah feeling. It was like this just now it's a season where the Vikings are going to end up 8-8, more than likely miss the playoffs. And they came back today, and I was watching with my dad, and I said right after BB scored, right, it was before BB even scored, I was like, we're going to drive down the field, we're going to score, and we're going to miss the extra point. I was like, mark my words, they are going to somehow miss this extra point. It's been too weird of a game. And then Carolina blocked the extra point, but they were offsides, thank God, and the Vikings ended up getting another chance. Obviously,
Which, by the way, he was barely offsides.
Yeah,
I mean, by like a nose.
It was close. I think they were more offsides on the next play. They actually jumped again. But I think you have to give credit where credit is due. I think a guy on this team has just gotten bashed all year long, and he's continued to shatter some of these narratives. He won that Monday night game outside in Chicago. Granted, Chicago hasn't been a good team, but they're a good defense, and Kirk Cousins did enough for us to win that game. Kirk Cousins put the team on his back today and won us this football game. I think that last drive, I want to say he was 6 for 7 with 75 yards and that touchdown to Chad Beebe. He was spreading the ball out today, and he did this today. I can pull up his final stat line. It shouldn't take me too long. I already have it up here. He went 34 for 45 for 307 yards and 3 touchdowns. He did that without his go-to red zone guy and Adam Thielen. Not sure if you saw the tweet of Adam Thielen after the game. He was pretty pumped
amazing.
up from the comfort of his own house. He did it without his starting tight end in Irv Smith Jr. And he did all of this all while Dalvin Cook missed. I don't know. I want to say it was about half the game. He came back, but he wasn't. I don't think he was fully the same. And even when he was going, Dalvin Cook did not get going early on in this game. This was a Kirk Cousins game. He had to throw the ball, and he delivered. And he was last week and the weeks before, he's been that people are saying Kirk Cousins cannot complete a fourth quarter comeback. I know he has gotten the team back into some of these games as of late, and then the defense has kind of shot themselves in the foot, which they did today, and the Vikings ultimately should have lost because they had a field goal chance that was shanked at the end of the game. Kirk Cousins is playing extremely well in the fourth quarter, and these crunch times, Kirk Cousins is playing very well. He showed it today. And he's still getting all of this hate for some reason. I'll be the first guy to tell you I want the Minnesota Vikings to draft a quarterback in this upcoming draft class. I say that probably every show by now.
What quarterback do you want, Jack?
I think everyone knows it's Zach Wilson. And I don't know if you've seen this. This is kind of random and off topic, but I've seen some rumors circulating about them potentially trying to schedule a game with Cincinnati. I don't know if you've seen that.
I haven't seen it, but I hope.
It would be big for both teams because they both need a signature win if they want any chance to bump into that Final Four. So, but switching back to the Vikings, like I said, I just want to give credit where credit is due because Kirk Cousins had a fantastic game and we were missing. I mean, he was getting pressured. Kirk Cousins ran the ball 3 times for 19 yards today as well. I know he's not labeled as this mobile guy, but there was even early on in the game, there was a play where he was rolling out right, and there was a member of the Carolina's secondary chasing after him, and Kirk was pretty much on a full sprint out to his right, and he delivered a dime to Tyler Conklin that snuck through the hands. And I was like, okay, damn, like Kirk, that was impressive. Like you don't normally do stuff like that. And I'm just saying, Kirk Cousins playing some very good football right now. I think he won 4 out of the 5 games in November, and he's playing at an elite level. I saw a tweet today. It was all of his stats during the month of November, and they were phenomenal. I think it was like 11 touchdowns to 1 interception with over 1,100 yards or something like that. He's playing really good football. This team needed somebody to step up, and Kirk Cousins stepped up today.
Yeah, he's clawing, and I said he was going to do it. I predicted it whenever we beat Green Bay. Actually, it was before we beat Green Bay. I predicted Cousins is going to come on after the bye, and he's going to play just well enough to prevent us from like trading up to draft a Zach Wilson or a Trey Lance or something like that, or even if we're in a spot where we could draft a Trey Lance or a Zach Wilson if we're sitting there right on the fringe of the top 10. He's going to play well enough where we're going to go with a defensive line guy, or, we're going to go with an offensive lineman. We're going to go anywhere but quarterback, and I think a lot of the fans are going to be mad, but there are going to be Cousins defenders that are going to come to his aid, and right now I will be playing the role of a Cousins defender. The Dallas loss was not on him. That was the defense. Chris Jones deciding not to tackle Tony Pollard really screwed us in that game. He had a similar play today. I don't know if you saw, but Robbie Anderson ran right by him, and Chris Jones just kind of stared at him like, no, it's not what I get paid for. And I'm like, it's not like, you're Darrelle Revis. Like, you're not an established name in this league. Like, you have to own your money, which is why I think we like Jeff Gladney so much on this show, because he owns his money every week in the run game. But this game, after watching that drive that Cousins went on today, I'm going to go out on the record. I know last week before the Dallas game, I predicted the Vikings weren't going to lose a game until I think like the Saints game. And that was even going to be up in the air at that point. And obviously I was wrong because we lost to Dallas. But Cousins is starting to change my mind a little bit into, okay, maybe we get a second round quarterback that can come in if Cousins gets injured. Oh, if Cousins play dips, we do have a viable, let's see what we have in this guy that isn't 7th round pick Nate Stanley. Absolute joke of a backup quarterback, Sean Mannion. And I'm starting to really like the idea of drafting Wyatt Davis out of Ohio State. I'm really starting to like the idea of going interior offensive line with like the 15th pick-ish, somewhere in that range. And I don't know. We're going to see what happens. But, God, today was an emotional game. I mean, I'm still kind of like getting over it, if that makes any sense. But do you want to hand out some game balls really quick?
Yeah, we can go for it. I mean, it's going to be a quicker show, obviously, tonight, and then we'll probably do a longer one here on Wednesday. It's just it's been a hectic week and a half, it feels like. And I feel like
it's a holiday week, so
that's true.
Well, yeah, I'll go ahead. I'll give out my game balls. On the defensive side, I think it's really easy to go with Eric Kendricks, but I'm going to go with DJ Wanham. I am going to take the guy who blocked the kick. And then the only reason I'm bringing it up is because I put this on both of the Twitter accounts. I put it on the Load the Box Twitter and my Twitter. Why? So everyone is pointing out DJ Wanham got just destroyed by Mike Davis on that run. And the NFL rulebook clearly reads that if you initiate contact by lowering your head, it's 15 yards, because they want to eliminate the Ryan Shazier type plays, and it's not just a defensive penalty. You can get called for it as an offensive player if you do the old Adrian Peterson, tuck your head down, and just run people over. How did Mike Davis not get flagged for 15 yards when he went crown of the helmet to DJ Wanham's chest? DJ Wanham got embarrassed on the play. He got trucked through. It was kind of, he was coming off of a block, kind of got blindsided, but still, welcome to the NFL. You know what I mean? It was his welcome to the NFL moment. But how is that not 15 yards for lowering the head whenever we're giving Harrison Smith 15-yard penalties for shoving guys down after they try to one-hand catch the ball? This league every week is pissing me off more and more with these penalties. They're trying to eliminate elite safety play like Harrison Smith, who's going to make you pay for going over the next. It's making this game a lot different. And I don't know, I'm a defensive guy. I always have been. And I like watching big hits and stuff like that. And I guess I just don't like that these running backs are getting so much of an advantage that safeties don't get. So after that point, DJ Wanham is going to be my defensive pick. And then Jack, I'll pass it over for you. You can do a twofer. You can do your defense and offense.
Yeah, I'll start with defense and just take the easy one because I don't think other than Wanham, I know he had the blocked field goal or the blocked extra point. I can't even remember if it was an extra point or a field goal, but I think the easy one's Eric Kendricks. He had the interception. He led the team in tackles, and he's like clearly. I almost tweeted something out because I tweeted last week that Eric Kendricks is still good at football, and I just quoted. I was going to say something along the lines of, "Let's just draft another linebacker this year, and we can swing Eric Kendricks out to cornerback because that's the type of player he's playing at that high of a level that he is elite in coverage, and it's
Yes.
fun to watch because I have several Packers fans that come to me and say." The Packers are an Eric Kendricks away from being a Super Bowl winning team. And it shows just how special, if Packers fans are recognizing how special Eric Kendricks is, it should show something about the skill level of our middle linebacker. And we should all be extremely thankful for that. I know it's that time of year where we talk about what we're thankful for. Having Eric Kendricks as our middle linebacker is something that all Vikings fans should be thankful for. Switching over to the offensive side of the ball, I think it's fairly obvious. I said it already, and I'm not sure I've given a game ball to Kirk at the back half of a show yet this year, but Kirk Cousins absolutely balled out today. He had that narrative that he isn't able to come from behind, and he's done it in, I think, 3 weeks this year, and then the defense has actually in turn given up those leads, and the defense tried to do that to him today, but the Panthers kicker missed the field goal at the end of the game, obviously. Kirk Cousins, listen to these stats. I know I said Cousins stats already today. I mentioned this earlier. We were without Irv Smith Jr. They were without Adam Thielen. They had Brett Jones in instead of Ezra Cleveland. So Kirk was kind of running around for dear life at times today. Listen to these receiving stats. BC Johnson, 7 catches for 74 yards. Justin Jefferson, 7 catches for 70 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kyle Rudolph, 7 catches for 68 yards. Chad Beebe, 7 catches for 63 yards. Kirk Cousins not only played an elite level today, he was spreading the ball around to some of these receivers that there was a ton of hype around heading into camp or throughout camp. I mean, when we started the show in August or when we were doing shows in August, we were talking about all this rave about BC Johnson, and let alone we had a stud in Justin Jefferson that the team was trying to hide for the first 2 weeks of the season. But before that, the rave was about BC Johnson. Everyone was talking about him making that step forward. We haven't really seen that. He hasn't really been. The Vikings really don't need to utilize a wide receiver 3 spot as much as other teams because they have Irv Smith Jr. and Kyle Rudolph, and you're not going to take a guy like Dalvin Cook off the field. But Kirk spread the ball around, and guys like BC Johnson, I know Chad Beebe had the muff punt and almost lost the game for us there, but he came back, and that says a lot about the character of a guy like Chad Beebe. I know his dad had that infamous play, like having this great character, losing by like 50 points in a Super Bowl, where it was like a play where he saved a touchdown and they were down 40 or 50 points. Like, it's clear that Chad Beebe has a good head on his shoulders as well because he didn't sit and sulk after that. Instead, he went down. He made like 3 big catches on that final drive, including the biggest catch of the game in that game winner. So I think it's clear as day that Kirk Cousins deserves this. He spread the ball out without some of his biggest playmakers, and ultimately he won the game today for the Vikings.
Yeah, staying on the Chad Beebe train, I think he caught the game-winning touchdown for the Vikings. BC did have a good 2-point conversion play to make it. I mean, you look at that, we don't get that, then we can go down the what-if rabbit hole. It's gonna
be a lot of what ifs in this.
It would make my head hurt, but like I kind of want to do it where like if we don't get that 2-point conversion, then we're down by 5, and then they kick that field goal and we're down by 8, and then we're playing for overtime instead of playing for a win, and who knows what's gonna happen in overtime. BC Johnson, hell of a game from him. I heard I'm gonna take some time too to say big time loser of the week is Fox for giving us Jonathan Vilma because, oh my God, I cannot stand listening to him. And he sounds just enough like Greg Jennings where I have to think before I start cussing that we got Vilma again, where I was like, is that Jennings or is that Vilma? And then they show him and I'm like, oh, there he is. And then the rest of the day I have to listen to my dad make jokes about how, he wishes the NFL would put a bounty on him and have his co-announcer take his knees out or something. But I'm going to go with Chad Beebe, even though Ola BC Johnson had a really good game. Vilma said something about how BC was running Adam Thielen's routes today and doing it at a pretty high level. I think the whole wide receiving co, including Kyle Rudolph, stepped up big time today in a game where Carolina wasn't going to let Dalvin Cook beat them. And I think that's going to be kind of the story the rest of this season is teams are aware Dalvin Cook can go for 200. So we're going to need to continue to see these guys step up. I'm excited to get Thielen back because Olabisi looked good today. He is no Adam Thielen. But Chad Beebe's going to get my game ball just because he had a couple catches in the first half that really extended some drives, kept the ball in our hands, time of possession, that whole shtick. But he's showing how good he can be on third down. If you just get him the ball with a little bit of space, he can, find his way to the sticks. And then into the game, gotta have it play. He comes down with that touchdown to put us up by 1, and the rest is history. The Vikings are 5-6. So Chad Beebe, good on you. Way to redeem yourself. Because if we lose this game, your head is going to be demanded on a stick by Vikings fans because you single-handedly dropped our season with that punt. But the Vikings playoff odds, I believe, are up to like 29 or 30% now with this win today. Probably going to have to win out. To be honest with you, it's not going to be well, hopefully we get some luck. If we win out, we're in. I know that's just as simple as we can put it. So we got the Jags next week and then the Buccaneers. Hopefully we don't get caught in a trap game. I'll go ahead and finish up with my thoughts here. Like you said, Jack, Kirk Cousins, hell of a game today. Really glad he was our quarterback today, which is something I don't say a lot because I'm not a Cousins guy. I say in my Travarius Jackson jersey, but I was impressed with Kirk Cousins. I was impressed with the defense, only giving up 6 points in the second half, 3 of which were off of that BB muff at the 9-yard line. So I'm excited to see what this team can do, and I hope we can just take care of Jacksonville next week. Let's go. Jack, what are your final thoughts, man?
Yeah, I want to touch on the Jonathan Vilma thing as well, because there was a point during the game today where he was talking. He's like, he asked, it was Kenny Albert with him. I'm pretty sure that's his last name. I'm not 100% sure. I'm almost positive. He's like, was that you that won NFC Defensive Player of the Year back in 2004? He's like, oh no, it was me. And I was like, Jonathan, I'm going to climb through my TV and I'm going to slap you for saying that on national TV. I was like, and on top of it, now you're going to get me all worked up at the end of the show, which we all know is a bad thing for everyone.
No, it's a
listening.
great thing. It's a great thing. I want to hear you complain. I loved whenever you cussed out the Cowboys a couple weeks ago. It was great.
I do not want to hear Jonathan Vilma talk about another damn penalty another day of my life. This guy has the audacity to walk in the U.S. Bank Stadium and start talking about penalties that the Vikings are making. And it's just like, dude, you are straight. You cheated your way to a Super Bowl. Like, shut your mouth. No one in Minnesota wants you in that booth. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. I'll just leave it at that, because otherwise I'm going to go down a rabbit hole and it's not going to stop. But I think it's very clear and obvious why everyone in this state does not like Jonathan Vilma. They had to cheat. They had to go after Brett Favre very viciously and illegally, taking him out at the ankles.
Not just Brett Favre, Colt Warner too.
They were a very cheap and dirty team. And I'll just say this, that if we have any Saints fans listening, I'm not going to apologize for saying this, but you didn't deserve that Super Bowl in 2009. That was the Vikings Super Bowl, and you took it away from us because you cheated your way to victory. I'll leave it at that. You can go to bed knowing that you got your way and you won a Super Bowl after cheating your way there. It's pretty cool. I'm glad that the Vikings are at least not cheating their way to Super Bowl victories. Having said that, it was all around. It was a solid performance. I would have liked to see the defense on the field a little bit more, because I think it was Carolina's defense had those 14 points for them at the right to start off with the Kirk Cousins back-to-back. Also, that has to be some sort of record where one player on back-to-back plays gets a scoop and score touchdown.
I don't know if it's a record, but it 100% just put a bow. He's going to be Defensive Rookie of the Year now. Like, that was his Heisman moment.
Yeah, that was huge. At least in my 25 years of watching football, I can't recall watching one player on back-to-back plays do something like that. But I'm sure it's maybe happened. But
somebody's had to have gotten back-to-back pick
plays,
sixes.
that is just it's crazy to me. But I'm glad the Vikings were able to prevail. I'm glad that Kirk Cousins was able to, I want to say, silence some of the doubters, but we all know that's not the case. Everyone's going to always be talking about these narratives until he wins a Super Bowl, if he ever wins a Super Bowl. And what we saw today, I mean, we're starting to see a little bit more fire out of Kirk Cousins. Like you said last week against Dallas, That game was the defense's fault. That was not Kirk Cousins' fault. Kirk Cousins played a fantastic game last week. He played a fantastic game, aside from the fumble and the scoop and score that he gave up. But I mean, you can blame it on him a little bit, but the offensive line was not great on that play either. And I'm just going to finish with this. Justin Jefferson should be campaigning for Offensive Rookie of the Year right now. I tweeted something out this week because I'm seeing everything on Twitter, and this is kind of the one of the subjective discussions for a 3-win franchise and now a 5-win franchise in Dallas and the Vikings. We're getting in pissing matches over who has the better rookie wide receiver, and it's like, that's cool and all. Those arguments are fun to get into, but look at both of our records and let's argue about who. Like it's just silly to me because I think CeeDee Lamb is a very good wide receiver, but I'm going to feed into it going against everything I just said because Justin Jefferson has outplayed CeeDee Lamb. He's outplayed Chase Claypool. What I've said in my arguments or what I tweeted about this week, people are saying that, oh, well, Justin Jefferson has Kirk Cousins. And it's like, excuse me, that's coming from a Dallas fan that has said, well, Kirk Cousins is trash. I've heard that for the last 3 years. And now all of a sudden, because Justin Jefferson is outperforming your rookie wide receiver, you're going to use that as an argument. Oh, and by the way, I'm not going to leave Pittsburgh out of this because I've heard that Chase Claypool is also better than Justin Jefferson. Guess what? If you're going to go off touchdowns, this might have changed today with Thielen not playing. I think Tyreek Hill probably passed him for the touchdown lead because Tyreek Hill had a monster game as well. But they were saying that, well, no, Chase Claypool is a better rookie wide receiver because he has more touchdowns. And if that's the case, then I want you guys to all admit that Adam Thielen is also the best wide receiver in the NFL because before coming into this week, he was leading the NFL in touchdowns. So if you're going to play those games, I think we can play those games as well. Justin Jefferson is playing at an elite level and continuing to show week in and week out that he is going to be the future of this franchise as the wide receiver spot. Him and Adam Thielen, I don't know how many years Adam Thielen has left in purple, but if he can continue to play the next couple of years at the level that he's been playing at, this team is going to be scary down the road. I've said this, I say that every week. We're getting some key pieces back. It's going to be like getting some free agents next year in 2021, but it's getting guys back that actually know this defense right away. This team is going to be special next season. I'll mark my words. It's an odd year. Mike Zimmer in odd seasons is always better than even seasons for some weird reason. We don't know why, but there's a lot to look forward to still in this team, a lot of young talent, and there's not really a better way than going into a Monday after a Vikings win. I know it wasn't the prettiest win, but Kirk Cousins carried the Minnesota Vikings to their 5th win